programs, and welcome back to ArcNeo Reviews, where it is one of those very rare, very rare times where we're actually going to look at something relevant and new, instead of just me being, doing my backlog of figures I won when I was a kid, but didn't get until I was, the weird 30-year-old man who buys toys. But today we're going to go ahead and look at the new Transformers Legacy Evolution, if I remember right, whatever the new subtitle is. Who cares about subtitle? It's the new Armada Megatron, and I am so excited to be looking at this guy. No, this is still only the second best version of Armada Megatron ever released. We will look at the one and only true best of them all as part of this video. But we will mostly be looking at the new guy here. And right off the bat, I've got to say, they did a great job of making him look like the original. You've got molded missiles out the back here with little, ports for putting on your blast effects. You've got a bunch of, just 5 mils pegs to slot stuff in. No, this guy is actually not in any way, shape, or form compatible with the original Leader 1 Minicon. Because let me grab him really quick here. Leader 1 did not happen to have any pegs on him. Some of these Minicons did have 5mm pegs, as well as their special Minicon ports. This guy has no pegs. This guy has none of the pegs that would receive the port on a Minicon. So I hear rumors that we're going to be getting like a single pack of all the Minicons for these new Armada figures, just like as one go of Micromasters. Hopefully that happens. That would be really neat. I would like to have a little card to stick onto my my Starscream, but no, even though he doesn't have all the old gimmicks, which kind of you wouldn't expect him to, given new figure engineering and priorities, they did still, you can see where the hinges were for all these little spots. You can see where these would open up on the sides. Like, he still has every old gimmick modeled in, whether they work or not, which is a really nice touch. The turret does rotate. It doesn't do a full 360, unless you, I guess it actually just doesn't do that. It does have this new weird hinge. That's for other things later. But no, so not quite a full 360 on the turret, but just kind of far side to far side. I hate when I start recording, I immediately remember something wrong. I've been messing with this figure like all stinking day. But, so there's that. He does have the aimable turret. Goes down, goes up. You can pull this obvious different color section of the barrel off to do other things with. We'll look at that later. He does also have the flip up section here. There's a little tab that locks this down. And once this flips up, you also can rotate it to the side, or however you want it. Make it look a little nicer. Enjoy the molded detail on top there. A lot of paint on this guy too, actually, which is a really nice touch. A little bit of visible gooch going on there in the back, but overall, just as clean as any other version of Armada Megatron is. The horns don't do any kind of grabbing or anything, and they are that soft kind of PVC rubbery plastic. So they get warm, they will deform. They will be very easy to undeform as well. Into the barrel is the same thing, but everything else I do think is like straight proper plastic. And it's side note, since I've already accidentally bumped them and shown it, the horns are actually removable on this guy so that they don't break. That's a nice touch. I'm sure it also means that someone will be selling like upgrade kit horns that are, not the bendy plastic that you have to mess with. He does have some strangely well rolling, or good rolling, whichever it is. Didn't have that clicked down all the way. The pinned wheels down here, like, you forget what a difference it makes when a wheel is pinned versus like the different clip systems they like to use a lot of the time now. he rolls very, very smoothly, even on this surface that doesn't like letting things roll very well. For comparison, really quick, here he is beside, actually, the first Megatron that I ever reviewed on this channel, the Combiner Wars, homage to this design, because this thing is so far removed, it's so clearly just a normal Megatron tank that they gave a Armada paint job to with a new head. I still liked it. This guy was like my first big Megatron, so he's still special to me, but yeah, this guy's infinitely better. And of course, here he is beside the original. No shock, the original is a bit bigger. Mine, this door is just constantly falling open anymore. Still haven't been able to get his speaker replaced, but his blinky lights do work at least. But you can see just how much of the details they carried over. Really, really good job done all around. I also still clearly, I do have like some white repro missiles. I don't even remember if I had them at the time that I reviewed this guy. But, I do have missiles for this guy. I just couldn't find them, so I didn't bother bringing them in. They're the wrong color anyway because they're not the originals, but, there you can see, old one's a little bigger, but not by as much as you would expect, which is nice. But as stated, we do have to compare this to the single best version of this design ever released, the McDonald's Happy Meal one. Yeah, apparently I was just far too critical and harsh of these when I looked at them. Clearly, this is the single most screen accurate version of Armada Megatron ever made. How dare I ever say otherwise? But yeah, there we go. So let's go ahead and get this guy transformed. Okay, so transformation on this guy is thankfully very, very easy. Definitely a step up from the original though. Really quickly, just going to fold these open on the sides and pull down the hands, just like the original figure. I'm doing this part now because this hand in particular, I have a hard time getting to actually come out. Go ahead and also fold up these little sections on the shoulder while we're down here. Come to the bottom and just pop these little green panels free really fast. And then there's this little part hooking over into there. So get those out, bring the legs down, and close up those green panels. Come to the front. Fold out the foot on each side. These feet are like very hard to they're pretty hard to get popped out, but if at least they do a good job of staying once you do. Flip out his heels. This should be looking very familiar to anyone who's watched the video on the old Armada Megatron figure. Mega figure, yeah. I did do a video on that eons ago. I'll just leave a link up here to the Megatron-a-thon. I have a playlist of just Megatron figures for anyone curious or interested. You don't have to do this, but I do find it's easier to finish transforming him if you just pull this section down before you rotate the legs around. Pop them back up. Come up here. Fold this panel down. Fold that up. Pop that back up to get his head revealed. Come up here and just kind of maneuver and finagle the shoulders. There's a few different ways because to do this, you end up just taking this little black section and putting it into his armpit, as well as this piece is tabbing in right there. So just do that and shift the shoulder down on that gray double hinge. Bring the arms down. Bring these Decepticon logo panels down. Close those up. Push the horn back on. I've never had trouble with this horn the whole time I've dealt with this figure. Tonight, as I try reviewing it, of course, I keep knocking the horn off. The horn is not hard to keep pegged in. If it really bothers you, just like glue it. You're good. There you go. Then go ahead and fold out the fists. And then the directions show you just kind of leaving the turret like just at a diagonal on his back like that. We will actually cover this guy's instructions in a bit. There's actually some stuff to be said about those, funny enough. But yeah, I don't know why they tell you to do it that way. This is Armada Megatron. You do that. And there you have him in his robot mode. And my gosh, I love the way this guy looks. Let's go ahead, bring him in close. You can see great job on his head sculpt. Apparently I've knocked this one out slightly too. We good? We good there? I have no idea what that was. I will have to find that out later. Hooray! Let's see, do I have that shoulder? That shoulder's not down all the way. Now it's down all the way. Now he's transformed correctly. You can tell I'm rusty at this. Thank you guys for being here, putting up with my garbage. But yeah, really great head sculpt. Even though he doesn't have the same little slide panel in his chest, once again, they have molded it in like it's there. So again, he still homages all the gimmicks, even if he doesn't bother having the gimmicks. I really appreciate that. Nice, pretty clean transformation overall. The big shoulder pylon kibble things, that's part of the figure. That's what makes an Armada Megatron an Armada Megatron. Really quick here, we'll go ahead and do the comparisons now. Here's the original, and here is the Combiner Wars Leader class. So, yeah, Combiner Wars is definitely the biggest. This guy is second smallest, and again, like I said, second best, obviously. The one that managed to actually have his turret on the correct side, the super punchy, too great for the camera to even focus on it, glow-in-the-dark hands McDonald's toy. Give him the respect he deserves. But yeah, here's how he stacks up. Definitely a very faithful look to the original. Does a much better job than this guy of calling back to it. Although then again, like, that guy was a homage. This guy's an actual proper update. You can see even he doesn't have the same hand gimmick that this one did, but they still made his hand look like it did for the gimmick. Lot of nice little touches just to keep the two looking really close to the same. I'm very much in love with the effort they went to on that. Posability wise, the head I believe is on a ball joint. Little bit of side to side, not much. Some up and down. Full rotation. The shoulders are kind of done in sections, but it does end up giving you basically anything that you would reasonably need. You can't move the shoulders back very far is kind of the only thing. That's not too big of a deal. You can fold the panel up to bring the arm up. The elbow itself does go over 90 degrees. Rotation right there. Shoulders move out, and when you need more, obviously, you can knock those up further. I should have phrased that differently, but too late now. But yeah, the pylons will rotate up to allow the arm to go out a little further. Both hands do also have a rotation at the wrist, which is always nice. Waist rotation. Soft ratchet for the legs. Kicks forward all the way. Kicks back. In this configuration, only about that far. We'll get to that in a minute. Legs go out all the way, and then some. Thigh rotation. 90-degree bend at the knee. Nice ratchet again. Pretty stinking deep ankle rotation there. No foot rotation, but not too big of a deal. There is also a little tab right here that will just kind of slot in and lock that foot flat for the tank mode, as well as do it over here. Again, a lot of nice tight stuff on this guy. I'm sure he'll loosen up over time, but I'm kind of enjoying while this figure is like so rock solid at the moment. But then, like I mentioned, we're only looking at this configuration right now because if you know the old toy, you know what's next. Bring the arms out. Extend him at the waist, which is a little tricky to do sometimes. There we go. And then that's what this hinges for, is this brings this down, gets you that much more clearance. Bring this forward. Point these out. And now he's got his big, ridiculous front gun mode, which is still just as goofy looking as it ever was. You can close the waist back down if you want. Yeah, that's a thing. Hopefully it means that we will be getting a tidal wave to combine him with at some point. This guy as is not compatible with the current tidal wave, unfortunately, but hopefully, hopefully, we get the other tidal wave to go with him. But really quick, like I said, we are going to be looking at his directions as well, because apparently there's like a minimum to the instructions for these figures. This guy is being sold as leader class. So he's got the same great big, leader class instruction sheet. And you can tell that the designers here working on this instruction sheet were doing everything they could to stretch every direct instruction for everything it was worth. They basically did the thing from high school where you go through your entire report and, break up all the contractions. So instead of saying you can't do something, you say you cannot do something. By the way, that's how you're supposed to write your reports. They don't like contractions in reports for some reason. But, so it takes this whole sheet to show what was very clearly a very simple transformation. So what do they do with the back of the instructions? They drag it out even further, making it take 10 steps to put his cannon in front of him instead of behind him. Or making it take 4 steps to put his cannon on his hip. Mind you, they're making you move up the other arm to do this. The other arm that does not in any way, shape, or form interact with this. This is like... I love the figure, but this has got to be the dumbest set of instructions I've ever seen. Like, this is a simple enough transformation and stuff. They could have done a, deluxe class instruction sheet instead of this thing. But, I'm sorry, Hasbro, don't give me your crap about how much you care about being environmentally friendly. We removed all plastic from our packaging. Why did you use twice the paper you needed for the easiest instructions in the world? Still love the figure, though. Still love the figure. I let's admit it, I'm part of the problem. Don't even care at this point. Worth noting, while he does have this weird shaped hand on this side, right up here in this section, that is still a normal, usable 5mm port, so you can go ahead and, he holds things in that hand just fine. As well as his other gimmick, you very clearly saw the pegs on the back sides of his hands. He is meant to be able to do this for reasons. It's not a full replacement for the really cool, built-in, knife hand that the original boy had. The original boy had here. Summer is rough, but it's not as good as that original gimmick, but it's still something. I'm sure it's going to lead to a lot of really fun, really crazy stuff you can do combining him with other figures. This does also mean that they did not even attempt to hide the forearm hollowness there. Would have been nice if we had a panel right here you opened up before you did these. I'm not sure why they didn't. Seems like they could have, made this like just a couple millimeters wider to fit that in there if they needed to. But at the end of the day, I'm not really concerned about this. Everything else does a great job of hiding any potential hollowness. It's like there's a little here and there's that. It's not that big of a deal. This guy is really big, actually, for modern standards. Like, this is a leader that feels like a leader. He's really posable. He looks great. He's easy to transform, which is very nice. I've been dealing with a lot of Studio Series figures lately, so having something simple like this that still gets you a satisfying transformation, yeah, I do have to end up giving this guy very, very high marks. Big recommendation if you at all like this incarnation of Megatron. Just remember, again, second best. Second best. Thank you guys for watching.